So picture this. Two total strangers stepping off a ferry onto a foggy island, both determined to win the right to tell the story of a famously reclusive heiress. That's the premise of Great Big Beautiful Life, and already it feels like a contest for the soul of someone's history, right?
It's such a compelling setup, honestly. The idea that Margaret Ives gets to choose who narrates her life and she only gives out bits and pieces makes you wonder, can anyone ever really capture the truth of someone else's experience? Or is every version just a reflection of who's asking the questions?
Exactly. And what I love is how the book leans into that uncertainty. Alice and Hayden, the journalists, are basically forced to play detective, but they're always a little in the dark. It's like Margaret's orchestrating her own myth while holding all the cards.
That's what kept me hooked. Margaret isn't just a subject, she's an active participant, shaping her own legend while keeping everyone guessing. It's almost as if the book is telling us that every biography, every family story, is curated by someone with their own agenda.
What really stood out to me is how the novel blurs the line between truth, memory, and myth. Margaret's stories are never fully reliable. Some are foggy, others suspiciously dramatic. It's like trying to put together a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
That's what makes the whole thing so relatable, though. Everyone's family has those stories like the infamous How Grandpa Met Grandma tale that changes every time someone tells it. The book gently reminds us, truth often lives in those gaps, not in the polished version.
Totally. And it also makes you question your own memories. How much of what we think we remember is just a story we've told ourselves enough times that it feels real?
I've definitely caught myself doing that. Sometimes the comforting narrative wins out over the awkward, messy reality. The novel really encourages readers to examine those fictions, both the ones we inherit and the ones we invent for ourselves.
Another thing I found fascinating was how the Ives family's legacy hangs over everything. The book shows that inheritance isn't just about mansions or money. It's about wounds, secrets, and expectations that echo across generations.
Absolutely. And it's not just the romantic subplot here. The story spends as much, maybe more time on the messiness of mother-daughter bonds, sibling loyalty, and that fierce, sometimes painful need to belong. It gives love so many shades beyond the typical happily ever after.
That actually reminds me of how the book embraces emotional complexity. You don't just get resolution sometimes, you get more questions, and that's what makes it feel authentic. Love, in all its forms, doesn't always wrap up neatly.
I love that, because it mirrors real life. You might forgive a parent but still feel the sting, or support a sibling you don't totally understand. The story allows for all that nuance, and I think a lot of readers will see themselves reflected there.
With all those layers, it's no surprise some readers find the pacing a bit uneven. Sometimes it's a family mystery, sometimes a slow burn romance, sometimes a deep dive into historical secrets. Did that work for you, or did it throw you off?
I get why it feels dense at times, but honestly, I appreciate novels that don't rush to tie everything up. If you're looking for quick, formulaic romance, this might feel heavy. But for anyone who loves complex characters and lingering questions, it's a real treat.
And the atmosphere. I don't think we've mentioned how vivid the island setting is. The old mansions, the library archives, even the coastal weather, it all adds to the sense of history pressing in on the present.
Definitely gives you that moody, almost gothic vibe. For readers who enjoy stories about legacy, secrets, and who owns a narrative, it's got so much to offer. Plus, it invites you to think about how you'd tell your own story, which is a pretty powerful takeaway.
So if there's one thing I'd hope listeners remember, it's the idea that you should be deliberate about who gets to tell your story and never be afraid to embrace the messy parts of your past. Healing isn't about hiding the hard stuff. It's about integrating it.
That's such a good point. And maybe also, don't underestimate the power of perspective. Two people can see the same moment so differently. It's humbling, And it keeps you open to other people's truths, as well as your own.
Exactly. And whether you pick up Great Big Beautiful Life for the mystery, the relationships, or just the lush writing, it challenges you to ask, whose version of events are you carrying? And what would happen if you let others share their truths too?
It really is the kind of novel that lingers long after you finish. If anyone's read it or plans to, I'd love to hear which version of Margaret's story they found most compelling. There's no single answer, and that's exactly the beauty of it.